Hello and welcome to Regional Roundtable. I'm Will Stewart, President of the Greater Derry-Londonderry Chamber of Commerce and your host. Regional Roundtable is a program of the Chamber that looks at economic development issues of interest to our region. And today we are here to talk about tourism. And our guest today is Victoria Cimino, the Director of the New Hampshire Division of Travel and Tourism Development. That's almost as long as our title as well.
It's a long one. It's a long one. We shorten it. We have tons of acronyms in state government. So.
No shortage of those.
Right.
And in Chamber world, I'm sad to admit we have our share as well. But we'll save that for another show. We're here today to talk about tourism, and I know it's a very big, popular topic here in New Hampshire. But before we really jump in, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do?
Sure. Well, I am the Director of the New Hampshire Division of Travel and Tourism Development, and what that means is that I administer a tourism marketing program. And so my division is charged with the marketing and promotion of New Hampshire as a tourism destination. And, how do we do that? Well, we have a variety of programs, an advertising and marketing piece, a public relations piece, a travel trade piece, an international marketing piece. So, it's an all-encompassing program that also includes the state's 12 welcome and information centers,
which we have both to our north and our south here of the Greater Derry-Londonderry region.
That's right.
Maybe we could let's start really big picture.
Mm-hmm.
We say tourism. I think it's one of those words like, phrases like economic development, I think, that means a lot of things to a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty broad and can be vague. What exactly does tourism mean to you and to your division? What does it include?
We define tourism as a person who travels, or a tourist, I should say, as a person who travels 50 miles or more to have a specific experience. And so whether that experience is outdoor recreation, culture and history, culinary, there are so many different kinds of experiences that you can have, but what really defines that is the distance that you travel to get to that destination.
So where then are people coming from when they come here? How far are they traveling?
Typically, our visitors come from the surrounding New England states, Massachusetts primarily, New York. We also have a percentage of visitors from Canada. Eastern Canada is probably what people would think of first, like Montreal, because particularly here in New Hampshire, there is such a strong connection to the Quebecois. But Toronto is a significant source of visitation to the state of New Hampshire and New England as a whole.
Those are some of the international visitors, I take it that you mentioned.
Some of them.
They're almost domestic, it seems. But
sort of how I categorize Canada is sort of part of our North American program. But New Hampshire works with the 5 other New England states on marketing and promoting the region to overseas visitors. And they do that through a program called Discover New England. And Discover New England targets very specific markets, the UK, Germany, Japan, just to name a few. And so as a region, we work together because typically the further you travel to come to New England, more so is the case that you're coming to New England, not a particular state. And so, and we call that in the industry sort of a hub and spoke tour. So you'll sort of lodge in one particular area, but you'll make day trips. And so you'll maybe spend one day in a particular area and another day in the opposite area of the region.
Okay.
And so that is sort of how we package and promote New England on an international overseas basis.
That's actually a lot of similarities to kind of how we do economic development as well, even here at kind of the more local level. Of course, the Chamber, we're a regional organization, including Derry and Londonderry, as well as 5 surrounding towns, but recognizing that when companies come to a place, they're not coming to a municipality. Oftentimes, that's where they end up, of course, but they're not looking at particular municipalities, they're looking at the region, in our case, kind of the southern New Hampshire between Manchester and Boston. So it definitely makes sense to approach it from that standpoint, I think. So with regard, whether people are coming from Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, or the UK or Japan, how do you reach them? How do you get them here? How do you convince them?
Well, just to sort of lay the groundwork a little bit and kind of share the numbers with you. In 2014, New Hampshire attracted 37 million visitors who spent $5.1 billion.
About 10 times the population of our state.
It's pretty exceptional when you really sort of put it in
30
those
times the population of our state, yeah.
It's an incredible sort of injection into sort of the economy here in the state of New Hampshire. And it supports jobs. It supports, in 2014, tourism supported 68,000 jobs throughout the state, which again is just, you know, astronomical when you think about those numbers and the impact that tourism has on our economy. And so typically when we are marketing and promoting the state, we start with what's called our brand platform. And so you may have seen some of our advertisements promoting the summer season in New Hampshire, but our brand platform is Live Free. Which is obviously taken from the state's motto, live free or die. And it's a brand platform that really works because you're really tapping into the emotion that drives the decision-making process when consumers are looking at choosing a vacation destination. So what are consumers really looking for? They are looking to be unplugged when they go on vacation. They want to live free and have experiences that make them feel like they're really connecting with the people they love, or you know, the backdrop that they admire most. And that is where New Hampshire is sort of exceptional because we have such a variety of backdrops. You know, we've got everything from the seacoast to the tallest peaks in the Northeast, the wilderness of the Great North Woods, Dartmouth Lake Sunapee with rolling green hills, the Monadnock region, just an arts and cultural hotbed, and then the Merrimack Valley region, which really is so symbolic in so many ways of sort of how this country started, the Industrial Revolution, great history here, and wonderful agricultural amenities. So how do you take a state that has all of that to offer and boil it down to one simple marketing message that, again, will drive that transaction? So we start with the Live Free brand platform. We then categorize by sort of theme, sort of how consumers will choose that vacation destination. We run TV advertisements in Boston, New York, Montreal, Toronto. We do a lot of what's called out-of-home advertising, and we tend to focus on transit for the most part. And we are in markets where there is quite a bit of public transportation.
I've seen the ads on the T.
You got it. You got it. So that's a great example. We do some digital display advertising in Back Bay Station, Downtown Crossing, just to name a couple of stations. We've done quite a bit on the commuter railway line in southern Connecticut and then leading into New York City. So, you know, we have found through research that consumers who see an out-of-home advertisement are 5 times more likely to act on that transaction than not.
No kidding.
Yeah. So that has produced very well for us. We have also done quite a bit of digital advertising, and so that's, you know, digital display ads on websites, so like travelandleisure.com, boston.com, newyorktimes.com, torontostar.com. So we do quite a bit of that, but then we also optimize our sort of keywords and our website through search engine optimization, search engine marketing. And so digital is a major component of how we market and promote the state.
And what is the state's tourism website, by the way?
Sure, that's visitnh.gov, and it's an amazing site. We're about to flip the switch to our fall campaign here, and so it will encourage consumers to sort of get inspired and plan their adventure at visitnh.gov. And again, it will use sort of those key themes: culinary, places to stay, outdoor recreation, agricultural amenities, really sort of giving consumers the full depth and breadth of all that there is to see and do throughout the state. Another way that we work to promote New Hampshire is through a robust public relations program. And so we spend quite a bit of energy trying to attract travel writers and bloggers to the state so that they can have an experience and then share that experience through editorial. And that has, and I'm an old PR person myself, so that particular area is near and dear to my heart, but we have found that the combination of third-party editorial, it's not Vicki from the tourism office telling you it's a great place to visit.
Right, you're paid to do that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It has just been significant in terms of inspiring that vacation destination decision.
Almost more credible, I think, to a certain extent.
In some ways, it's an important part of the marketing mix. It really truly performs for us. And there are other ways that we work with the travel trade. So you've been here in the state when you've seen the big tour buses from Canada and other parts of the country, going through for scenic drives or to get to the next destination or to go leaf peeping. Mm-hmm. And so we work with travel trade and tour operators to package and promote the state in various ways. So the program is this sort of all-encompassing animal and includes also sort of publication development. We've got some great pieces on New Hampshire's breweries and wineries and different cultural activities. And so for those who come to our state's welcome centers and would like to still have that paper in their hand, we also spend quite a bit of time and resource sort of dedicated to promoting and developing those publications.
Well, it sounds like you mentioned, New Hampshire has such really a diverse number of activities and attractions and kind of themes that people can come for, different kinds of scenery in different parts of the state. It almost sounds, it's an embarrassment of riches, I think, compared to a lot of states, but it seems to me it's a double-edged sword because it's so much that you want to be able to talk about, and you're finding the right avenues and framing to do that. It sounds with all the advertisement and you're working with other folks, I know that costs money, obviously. How is your division funded, and what's the return on investment?
The Division of Travel and Tourism Development is funded by statute. So there is legislation that sort of dictates how the division is funded. So it is through the redistribution of rooms and meals tax revenue. And so the division, according to the statute, receives 3.15% of net revenue, rooms and meals tax revenue. Okay. And so the sort of framework around that was developed so that as rooms and meals tax revenue increased, the division's budget increases to sort of create that organic growth.
Makes sense. Now, to me, it's money well spent. I know you said it. Tourism as an industry creates or supports 68,000 jobs, I believe you mentioned. And correct me if I'm wrong, but tourism, last I heard, was the #2 economic driver in New Hampshire, second only to manufacturing.
Correct.
So it's having a huge impact on a lot of people's lives. And what of the money that does get spent, do you have any stats on what the ROI is on that money?
For every dollar that the division spends, the state sees a return of $9.23 in the form of fees and taxes. So more than 9 to 1 in that ratio. Yeah.
That's it's pretty short money where I come from. That's in the business world, that's what you call a good investment?
Well, we use what's called the Virginia model. It's a return on investment model that more than 15 states around the nation use. And it takes into consideration total spending. Then of that total spending, what is then sent back to the state in the form of fees and taxes. And 9 to 1, 923 to 1, pretty good.
Yeah, I wish my 401k performed that well.
Right.
Speaking of other states, how does tourism spending or investment, I would term it, how does it compare? New Hampshire versus other states, both here in New England and across the country, and I guess increasingly we're in competition with the world.
Well, yes, and it is significant when you think about the fact that a consumer can choose any destination on this planet to visit, and then of course spend their dollars. New Hampshire ranks number 35 in the United States in terms of its investment in travel and tourism, and we rank number 4 in New England.
No kidding. But now I'm no economist. I dabble in economic development, I like to say, but to me it seems, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, I'll just give my opinion, but it seems to me if we were able to increase that number, that we'd be able to get perhaps even better results and really have that 9-to-1 ratio expand.
Thank you for your opinion.
And anything the Chamber can do to support that increase, I think I feel happy speaking on behalf of our board of directors. I think that'd be something we would certainly like to address. And we have identified, just so you know, tourism as one of our government affairs committee has identified tourism as one of our priority areas in 2016, both locally and with the legislature. So anything that we can do to help, please let me know. Speaking of the local area, I know when we talk about tourism in New Hampshire, as you mentioned, we really do have a plethora of areas and really high traffic attractions and beautiful places. You said from the seacoast to the lakes to the mountains to the Monadnock region. What about here in I guess the southern half of southern New Hampshire? Maybe not the most traditional of vacation spots, but how do you describe this part of the state? You and your team, and what do you see as our strengths?
Looking at this particular area's tourism attributes, or what we call tourism product, you have more than you might think you do, and I'm sure you're well aware of that. There is everything from historic sites like the Robert Frost Farm to family attractions like Canopy Lake Park. There is so much agricultural product that exists here in this part of the state. Max Apples, Sunnycrest Farm, those are two great examples right here in this neck of the woods. Great culinary offerings, outdoor recreation with your rail trail. I mean, there really is quite a bit located just here in this particular region. And this region is its proximity to a major market like Boston provides such an edge and such an opportunity. You're nearby, you have all of these varied activities. You can really market and promote yourselves in a way that highlights these various activities.
That's something I know that the Chamber, we're not strictly a tourism organization. A lot of chambers are. You're really focused. I know the Portsmouth Chamber, for example, is very heavily focused on tourism, given their location. But it is something again that we're looking to really promote a little bit more. As viewers of this show will remember, from last month, the Chamber recently came out with the Beer and Mead Tour Rack Card, which there are some of those welcome and information centers that you mentioned, and our visitor's guide, which we put out every year. This year did focus on the rail trail that really stretches throughout our entire catchment area from Wyndham, Derry-Londonderry, and really connects from the Vermont border all the way down to the Mass border as well. So trying to do what we can. But I guess that kind of leads into my next question. Given the, I guess, limited budget that your division has, and well, frankly, all state departments and divisions have here in New Hampshire, what can entities like the Chamber or municipalities do to assist you and work together to complement what you're doing?